And I just want to know, how many of you think your teacher is doing a great job? Who's learning something? What are you learning?
I'm learning about patterns.
Raise Your Hand Texas is a group of citizens, business leaders, community leaders, taxpayers of all sorts that participate on a voluntary basis to support the notion of public education. Quality public education that's available to all our kids in Texas.
Shapes, right? You make shapes and then you tell me what shape you make, right?
We feel the goal of everyone in the business and professional community should be to find out what our schools need and then put our shoulders to the wheel and help them get there.
I'm going to draw a picture up here.
Texas has the responsibility for educating almost 10% of the nation's students. So we have a lot on our shoulders in that regard.
Most of the population is not affluent, and all of us are going to get old soon. So if nothing else, it's an investment for us to make sure that everybody's child is educated.
Every society around the world that's successful believes that a key element to their success is strong education. And frankly, they want to educate their populations better than anybody else educates theirs. And we got to be right in there with them. In the United States, we have to make sure that we're not falling behind in education, because they all know the same thing. They all know educated societies, societies where the citizens have access to great education, are going to be the most successful societies.
Every single child, whether you're in Texas, in the United States, or in the world, deserves that opportunity to have a quality education. And we can't have that unless we have the funding to support that.
We would like to change the perception of Texans toward education to consider it an investment rather than a cost.
A great place to start when we are reforming and improving public education is with early childhood development and education.
I think everyone benefits from more full-day pre-K. I certainly did. My mother believed, and so she sent us at 4 years old to a little school. But she wanted us to learn English before we got to first grade.
It's like a race. If you get a jump on everybody else, you're going to win.
When they don't have access to a quality pre-kindergarten program, the children enter kindergarten significantly behind.
We're here at Lackland Independent School District in our pre-kindergarten and kindergarten wing. At Lackland ISD, we serve 100% military families who live on Lackland Air Force Base. So all of our families who have pre-kindergarten kids send their kids to school. 100% 4-year-olds all-day pre-kindergarten. We love it and they love it too.
What color is your cookie?
There's been plenty of research over time that has shown that good, solid preschool programs have effects 20 years out. You can see the effects of it in the number of kids completing school, whether or not they're holding full-time jobs, their health, well-being. I mean, it's all there.
For about every dollar that is invested in a universally accessible pre-K program, the state would accrue a benefit of about $3.50.
And every child we invest in, there's a great ROI. If we don't invest, we're going to pay too. We're going to pay for curing ills to society instead of building society.
Kids that benefit from pre-K education do better in grade school, do better in middle school, do better in high school, and do better when they get out in the workforce. So there's a big, big return on that investment in pre-K education.
As the state continues to raise the standards, then it's also the responsibility of the state to help us make sure that the students are ready to meet those standards. And one of the biggest ways to do that is to fund a quality pre-kindergarten program.
A good accountability system is in the best interest of our children. We've got to have kids leave high school well prepared. We're not competing Austin against San Antonio against Dallas or Houston. We're not competing in the United States against Canada. Our competition is the entire world. And unless our kids are able to get out there and be competitive worldwide, they're not going to make it. If they don't make it, we're not going to make it as a community, as a state. So we've got to have well-prepared kids, and I think the accountability system has got to be there to do that.
We are big advocates of classroom rigor, and we're big advocates of accountability. But we want a flexible accountability system one that addresses the fact that not all schools in all communities, in all situations are the same. And we want an accountability system that rewards progress. Wherever you started, it rewards progress.
The system currently is difficult to understand. It's not fair to all schools, and it's easy to succeed under the state system and fail under the federal system. Our present system can allow a small cohort, a small number of children who don't do well, to cause the whole school to fail. In general, if you knew someone who had many strengths, but maybe one little area for improvement, like most of us have, you wouldn't say that person is a failure. You'd just say they have an area for improvement. That's what we're aiming at.
What we know in South Texas is that we lose at least 50% of our students from high school graduation. So just look at the number of elementary schools in a community. Look at the number of middle schools, and then the number of high schools. If we weren't losing students, we'd have to have a whole lot more middle schools and high schools, and we don't. Where we're building usually is at that lower level, because many start, but very few finish.
When you look at multiple pathways, and I believe that the approach that Raise Your Hand Texas is recommending, and I think the Commissioner is recommending as well, is to look at 3 different ones. One would be math, science, another one would be career and technology, and another one would be fine arts. When you do that, I think kids are more comfortable with what they'd really like to do. I think we've got a greater opportunity to get kids graduated from high school, keep them turned on to what's going on in their lives and what their possibilities are. And I think we're going to be able to meet their needs and our community's needs in a much better fashion.
It would definitely strengthen our community, it would strengthen the state of Texas, and it would make us more competitive in the global marketplace if we had more students who went through a strong career and technology program.
I think an employee's workforce ready when they have appropriate technical training for the job they're going to go into. They have appropriate life experiences for the job they're going to go into, and they have good character, the kind of character that will allow them to succeed with other people. Good public education provides all 3 of those things. Provides good technical training, provides great life experiences. In fact, I think public education provides some of the best life experiences you can possibly get, and it builds character.
One of the nice things about Raise Your Hand and about working in the public schools in general is that you really do see the fruits of your labors very directly. I'm a big believer that our students and our children do want to learn, they want to do well, and given the right support, the right quality of teaching, and the right accountability, that they will do well. And we see it every day from the most junior levels of the system to the most senior levels of the system, and it's very inspiring.
Texas is my home. I went to public school here. I love Texas. I'm in business here. And I just don't feel there's any alternative for our state but to shoot for a high goal in public education. I think our state will fall behind if we don't have great public schools.